For the Egyptians, death was a crisis to be overcome, but they were optimistic, so they believed that it could be overcome, but not without a series of trials or travails.
Part of the Book of the Dead illustrates a dangerous world where the deceased is threatened by terrifying beings.
When hieroglyphs were used in a magical book like the Book of the Dead, they became magically active. You might liken it to a video game where you had to go through a series of episodes where you would have to fight off enemies or go past clever obstacles. In fact, they would damage hieroglyphs that had a threatening aspect because they might kind of get out of control. So for example, one of the most common hieroglyphs is in the form of a horned viper, one of the most deadly snakes in the world. It's used a lot in spells and different texts, so they would chop it in half so the snake couldn't leap off the wall and attack the owner.
But if the hieroglyph was not damaged, it could come alive and attack. For Ani, his protection are the spells from the Book of the Dead. But the Egyptian afterlife also includes allies.
Based on texts like the Book of the Dead, we believe that the deceased would have immediately been greeted by the god Anubis, who was known as also opener of ways and the guide of the dead through the afterlife.
Anubis is a very prominent god in the netherworld, and also in connection with the actual mummification and ritual burial of the dead. He always appears with the head of a canine, and he's identified with the jackals and the other kind of wild canines that existed in Egypt, and tend to live on the fringes of the valley where the cemeteries are. So there was always a kind of close association between these wild dogs and the world of the dead.
The god Anubis is both a guardian and a guide for the deceased. It's his job to make sure that you get to judgment safely and that you can get to everywhere that you need to go.
One of the most important chapters in the Book of the Dead is a mysterious ritual called the opening of the mouth.
What I love about this ritual is they didn't just symbolically open the mouth, but they also opened the eyes and the ears, which is very much a philosophical statement.
The opening of the mouth ceremony was a spiritual awakening of the body. So once the deceased had died, his senses were shut down. And this would allow the body to become a vessel for the soul of the deceased. So they could see, they could taste offerings, they could smell incense, they could hear the prayers that were being said, and then they could actually actively use objects like the Book of the Dead to help in their journey through the afterlife.
The dead person has a goal in the underworld, to reach the field of reeds or field of offerings, a blessed place where the deceased can live for eternity.